people in the past. And the quote of honesty is the best policy came from a very respectable man, the late Benjamin Franklin, who coined it while talking to his people, the American people, telling that honesty should be the best policy and should be adopted by every single individual. I think that coming from kind of speeches that came out throughout the entire meeting today, I think that all of you here can agree to a certain extent that honesty plays a major role in affecting individuals emotionally. By being sincere and sharing your thoughts, by being truthful in your fears, whether it's your first time speaking in front, whether it's your daily dosage of being called surnames which you do not like. I think to a certain extent, honesty was kind of like an important factor in affecting all of you here. And Benjamin Franklin told the people of America that honesty was one of the fundamental things needed to actually create bonds which were strong enough between the American people. He furthered his argument by saying that honesty was something that between people, if there exists no honesty, then two people could never work together. And teamwork between people in firms, in industries would fail in the end of the day because of that fact there was no trust. The thing about I think that all of us can agree to a certain extent in current state society that the idea of dishonesty is a bad thing. Being dishonest is considered as something you frown upon, right? If a friend lies to you directly in front of you and you feel offended by it, you find it as a negative, a particular negative action. But here I have to tell you here today that this particular assumption where honesty is the best policy may not really hold the truth as the best policy. I'm going to talk about three different levels. I'm going to talk about, firstly, why is it necessary for you as an individual to not be entirely honest individually. Second of all, I'm going to tell all of you that in society today, in reality that you face, in the life and society you live in, regardless of whether it's Malaysia or overseas, to a certain extent, honesty is never the best policy. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about further on how globally being dishonest in the global arena is actually going to be a good thing. So first of all, why is it necessary for you as an individual to be kind of dishonest once every single time, individually in your personal life? I think that what's one of the able topic speakers talked on how life was easier by lying, right? Now, the thing is that when you're dealing with people, if you were to be brutally honest, you'll be hurting a lot of people's feelings. For example, if your friend makes a joke you don't like, and you personally say to the person, I'm offended with your particular way of talking, or I just hate you completely because you offended me. There would be an awkward silence within a particular conversation, whether it's between friends or a group of friends. You're kind of like the mood killer by telling that, I hate you, I really hate you. Unless it's like a joking kind of intonation, then the person will most likely be offended by it, and you will cease to be like friends anymore, and people will be considering you as a mood killer. Secondly, if you look at the things of how you deal with your parents, I think I will use myself an example for this. When my parent calls me all the way from home, telling me, are you okay? And on that particular day, I did horrible for a math test. I said, I'm fine, never been better. Now, to myself, I think that I was lying, not because I wanted to lie deliberately, but to make my life easier by ensuring that my family all the way back in my hometown doesn't worry about me too much and so that I don't have to carry the burden of there's people over there worrying about me, and I have to worry about them worrying about me all the way in Sabah. So, personally, to a certain extent, I find that being a little bit dishonest actually goes a long way. And once I prove myself in terms of my results, life was better. To a certain extent, dishonesty was working for me. And I saw that in terms of when you grow up and you live in a different kind of society, you move from home, village kind of rural areas, we call it, and you move on to urban areas like Subang, you find that the society around here is very much different, and you try to adapt to it. Sometimes you have to lie to yourself that some things doesn't really go along with the principles. One of it was, for me, when I came to urban area, was how open they were towards the things they talk about in conversations. Truthfully, it was a very new thing. Especially when meeting with guys who came from mixed schools. I came from an all-boys school, so the conversation we had was a bit kind of different, but we got along by playing with that. So, initially, I would say that I would go along with all the conversations. I would lie to myself that this was something, I'll just give it a try. I'll be a little bit dishonest with myself by not aligning my principles really rigid to it. So, in the end of the day, I found that while I was adapting, I was lying to myself entirely. And to society, in terms of society-wise, I think that everybody does it. To a certain extent, everybody does it. And it's doing fine. Society is progressive. And I think that the world, in terms of worldly issues, I think I like to share the example of Edward Snowden. Does anybody here know Edward Snowden?
Yeah.
Yeah. For those who do not know, he was the guy that leaked out that the NSA was spying on his people. That the American government was spying on his people, and Edward Snowden told the whole world about it. And another classic example is WikiLeaks. For those who do not know WikiLeaks, please read a newspaper. I seriously think that you guys need to read a newspaper. So, this kind of secrets, when you share it to the entire world, tells you that to a certain extent it's the truth. It's honest. You're being honest by telling towards the entire world that yes, you're spying on people. Yeah, to a certain extent it's truthful. But then let's look at what happened afterwards. Governments from every single country was flaming the American people, the American government, was spying on its people. It created, to a certain extent, Edward Snowden had to seek asylum from different countries. It caused a kind of major international scene, which was incredibly discomforting. So, you can argue that honesty is the best policy, but if you look at yourself, if you look at people around you, and you look at the global issues, honesty is not the best policy. It is a good thing, but think about it to what extent. Thank you.